Hey there, the light is low now, isn't it? A soft hush in the corners of your room, like the hush of olive leaves brushing each other in the late wind. You made it through another day, and I'm glad you're here. I've been saving a little story for you, an old one, gentle as a woolen shawl, steady as a jar of water balanced on your head. It's called You Carry Water on the Road to Jacob's Well, and it's just for tonight. Maybe you've heard parts of it before, not in words, but in the way silence settles on your chest when the world goes quiet, or in the way your hands remember the weight of something sacred, even if they've only held ordinary things. This story knows how to wait, how to listen, how to walk beside you in the dark and not ask for anything more than your breath. So if you'd like, dim the lights a little, pull the blanket up, just so. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your eyes grow heavy. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to try. Just rest. And if this story brings you a kind of peace tonight, the sort that feels like a friend holding a candle for you in the dark, you might choose to like or subscribe, but only if it truly comforts you. For now, let's go. The first sound is the sound of dust, which is not really a sound at all, more a hush that rises from earth warmed by long sun. You hear it beneath your sandals, soft as a sigh, as you step between tufts of dry grass and pebbles that glint like forgotten coins. The morning is still low, caught between hush and hush. There is no rush, only a sky the color of warm clay, and a breeze that tastes of stone and time. You are small in this place, but not lost. The hills have known you since before your name had syllables. You walk their curves like you've walked them 100 times before, though you never take the same path twice. You are not important to the world, not in the way soldiers are, or scholars, but you are known to the land, and to the silence that lives in it. A bird calls once from the acacia, then hushes. You feel the pull of the morning in your ribs, in the soft, aching place where sleep used to live. Your eyes sting a little, not from tears, but from light, thin light that makes you squint as you reach for the clay jar beside the threshold. The jar is older than you. A hairline crack splits its belly, filled with the dirt of years and the breath of 100 fillings. It's not beautiful, but it's whole. You like it for that. Your hands fit its shape without trying. You lift it with both arms and press it against your side. The path from your home to the well at Jacob's is not long, but it is not short either. Long enough to remember your dreams, short enough to forget your troubles. If you walk slowly enough, you begin down the trail with no sandals yet, only your feet, wide and calloused, knowing the feel of morning dirt. Your breath is even. Your hair is still braided from last night, frizzy at the temples. The sun is not up yet, but its rumor is spreading. Pale gold traces the tops of the fig trees, and shadows of leaves stretch like fingers across the path. You hear someone's goat bray from down in the hollow. You know whose goat. You smile without showing teeth. You don't think about the day yet. Not the threshing. Not the sweeping. Not the ache in your shoulder that comes when you kneel too long. Right now, there is only the jar, your breath, and the faint chant of your own thoughts. You remember how your mother used to hum a psalm before dawn. You can't remember which one, only that it had something about shelter, or wings, or a shield. Something about how God is near when we lie down, and even nearer when we rise. You start humming something like it, just to see if the sound still fits in your mouth. It does. Quietly, the first light catches the hem of your tunic, and it glows dusty rose. The fabric is worn thin at the knees, where you kneel most. You brush it, just once, as if to smooth away a wrinkle that isn't there. The village behind you still sleeps. Chimneys are breathless, doors closed. The baker hasn't started yet. You know, because the air doesn't smell of yeast or wood smoke yet. Just cool dust and olive bark. You walk, your legs know the slope before it comes. The bend in the path near the lone fig. The sharp stones beneath the sycamore root. You step around each without thinking. Your feet are smarter than your thoughts this early. You spot a lizard on the sun-warmed rock, still half asleep. Its eyes blink slowly, as if it can't decide whether to greet the day. You don't say anything to it. You don't need to. You just walk. When you pass the place where the wild thyme grows, you bend and pinch a small sprig. Not for food, not for anything, just for the scent. You roll it between your fingers and lift it to your nose. It smells like your grandmother's hands. You don't know why. The road opens wider, and there in the dip of the land is Jacob's well, a low ring of stone, worn smooth by the arms of women, the ropes of travelers, the patience of generations. You pause, not because you're tired, but because you always do. It feels right. A man is already there. He nods. You nod. No words. He lowers his bucket as you set your jar down. The rope creaks. The stone lip is cool beneath your palm as you wait. The first sunlight catches in the water below, and it shimmers like sleep. When your turn comes, you draw. The weight of the bucket makes your shoulder whisper a little complaint, but you ignore it. The water is cold, clear. You pour slowly into your jar, careful not to spill. Each drop feels precious, not in a poetic way, just in a real way. You don't waste what's hard to carry. You lift the jar to your hip, then your shoulder. The balance is easy now, trained by years. You walk slowly back. This is the first task, the oldest one. It isn't sacred. It just is. And maybe that's its holiness. The sun rises gently now, spilling into your eyes in slow glimmers between the olive branches. A dove takes flight nearby, and its wings sound like fabric flapping on the line. You glance at the bird, then back to the path. You can hear someone singing from across the field. A mother, maybe, or someone pretending to be one. The singing fades. The breeze picks up. Your hair lifts slightly at the temples. You don't think about God directly, but you think about breath, and that's close enough. The smell of dust mixes now with something warm, faint but rising. A hint of someone starting their morning fire. Maybe it's barley cakes being placed on hot stones, or dried lentils in a shallow pan. The scent drifts up the hill and finds your nose just as you crest the path. Your jar still steady on your shoulder. Your body shifts a little under the weight, familiar now. There is no pain, only pull, only presence. You reach the outer wall of your dwelling, built of mud brick and memory. The stones at the base were placed by someone whose name is not written, but whose hands shaped this shelter the way a mother shapes a cradle, not perfectly, but faithfully. You set the jar down near the threshold and wipe your palms against your tunic, brushing off the pale dust that lives in every crease. Inside, the room holds its night breath still. It smells like straw, oil, yesterday's heat. You move through it like you belong because you do. You kneel to light the lamp, though the sun is growing. A wick sputters, then holds its tiny flame. It makes no claim against daylight, but it steadies you just the same. You pour a little water from the jar into a smaller vessel. Set it near the bowl where you'll wash your face. Your fingers find the cloth rough, clean. The water is cool. You press it to your cheeks, and the sleep lifts away in slow folds, like a curtain being drawn back from the world. You sit back on your heels. You don't rush. You let the morning come fully now. A breath comes before anything else. Not a deep one, just a steady one. Your shoulders rise and fall. Your hands rest loosely in your lap. You whisper, not to be heard, but because it's how your day starts. A few words without form, without shape. Something like, thank you for not forgetting me in the night. You're not sure who's listening, but it matters that you say it. Your tunic is still warm from your body. You smooth it where it creased from sleep. You tighten the cord at your waist. Feel it snug just above your hip. Your feet find your sandals, worn but loyal. And you stand. In the corner of the room is a small loaf, wrapped in cloth. You unwrap it slowly, as if it were more than bread. In a way, it is. You break off a piece and chew. It's dry but soft in the middle. You let it sit on your tongue before swallowing. The taste is plain like sun and earth and hands. You pour a little water to drink, letting it wash the sleep from your throat. Outside, the world has begun to speak louder. A rooster calls once, then again. A child's laughter dances briefly, then disappears. You hear someone calling to a goat with a stick and a word you don't recognize. Life stirs. You gather the bowl, the cloth, tuck the remaining bread back in its wrap, and begin the small sweep of your morning. The floor first dirt, always. But it matters that you try. You push the dust toward the door, not out of pride, but out of rhythm. Dust is part of the music here. It comes back. You don't mind. You hum while you work. Not a song, not really, just a thread of sound, pulling you forward. Your mother used to hum like this, or maybe it was your aunt. You can't quite remember. But the sound feels like home. You pause near the threshold. The sun is up now, high enough to spill gold across the hills in streaks. The light plays on your arm, the same arm that carried the jar. You look at your skin, brown, warm, alive. You stretch your fingers wide, then let them fall. You step outside. The day stretches ahead without promises, just tasks. You like it that way. There's no pressure in small things, only presence. Today, the path leads toward the vineyard. It's not yours, not exactly, but your hands are known there. The vines don't speak, but they remember. You walk the road slowly, sandals scuffing the stones, your eyes scanning for new growth along the edges. The dew is already gone, but the smell of green lingers. The earth here is darker, richer. It smells of roots and old prayers. You pass the fig tree with the crooked branch. You think of the way its fruit feels in your mouth, sticky, soft, sweet in a way that never stays long. You hope today brings a ripe one. You hope it falls right into your hand. As you reach the low fence that marks the edge of the vineyard, you place your palm on the rough post and breathe in. The vines stretch wide, some low to the ground, some climbing like they're searching for sky. You step between the rows, eyes scanning for what needs doing. There are no orders, just knowing. The leaves are broad and whisper when touched. You brush one gently, checking for pests. None today. You move on. Your fingers work by memory, checking, lifting, tying, loosening where it's too tight. There is rhythm here, no rush. The vines don't hurry. Why should you? The morning deepens. The shadows change their angle. A breeze runs low along the vines, stirring their skirts like dancers waiting for the song to begin. Your back warms with sunlight. Your arms carry the ache of work, but not complaint. You stretch, then return to task. You don't think of the future, just the next stem, the next leaf, the way the sun filters through green and gold. The vineyard holds its own time. You live inside it. A bee dances near your ear, and you flinch, then laugh quietly to yourself. You remember once, years ago, being stung on your thumb. You cried, not from the pain, but from the surprise of it. You still remember your uncle's voice, teasing gently. Even bees know which ones are sweet. You check the far rows. A cluster of grapes has fallen, not many, just a few. You gather them, brush off the dirt, and carry them in your shawl. You won't eat them yet. They need the shade. When the sun crests the middle of the sky, you pause. You sit on a flat stone near the tree that leans. You unwrap the bread from earlier. Still soft, you tear off a piece and place it on your tongue. You don't rush. You chew. You feel the grain become part of you again. You drink a little water, tilting the clay cup slow. The cool runs down your throat and into your belly, like a gentle yes. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, just to rest. The stories come then, not because you summon them, but because they live here. You think of the one about Moses and the water from the rock. You never liked that one, much too much anger. But the water part, that part felt real. You think of David too, and the sheep, not the giant, just the sheep. How he probably knew all their names, and then always, somehow you think of him, the man from Nazareth, not the miracles, just the way he talked, like he knew what bread meant, like he saw people the way you see the vine, full of need, full of life, worth tending even if they bear little fruit. You smile without smiling. The stone beneath you holds the sun in its skin. You lean back just slightly, letting your weight rest on your palms. Fingers spread in the dirt, warm and steady. You're not tired, not really. But this stillness feels earned, like a gift wrapped in nothing more than time and silence. The grapes sit beside you in the fold of your shawl, dark and dusted. You lift one and place it on your tongue. Bite gently. It bursts with a sour, sweet tangle that makes your eyes close. The flavor doesn't last, but the echo of it stays in your mouth like the ending of a song. There are no voices nearby, only the faint clatter of someone's cart, far off wooden wheels dragging across stone. A donkey brays once, quick and annoyed, then quiet again. You let your eyes wander to the edge of the vines, where the green turns to gold and the gold turns to brown. Somewhere beyond that, there's a road you've never walked, a village you've never seen. But you don't need to go there. Not yet. This life is small, but it is whole. It fits. Your fingers find a pebble near your knee, smooth, round, warm from the sun. You roll it between your thumb and forefinger. It reminds you of the one your cousin found in the river, shaped like an egg. and swore it could heal fevers. You never believed it. But you let her keep it under your pillow when she was sick. The breeze shifts. A gust of dry wind carries a scrap of someone's voice. Then nothing. It reminds you that you're not alone, even if you feel alone. The world is full of others, living their own tiny days. You rise slowly, brushing the back of your tunic free of dust, though it never stays clean for long. You gather the grapes and fold the shawl over them, knotting the corners gently. There's more work to do. This time, you move toward the outer rows, the ones closer to the edge, where the vines are thinner and the weeds try harder to win. You squat low, knees cracking softly, and begin the slow task of pulling, tugging, loosening roots from stubborn earth. The soil here is tougher, baked hard by too many days without rain. You don't complain. Instead, you hum again. Not because you feel particularly joyful, but because the silence is long, and your body knows how to answer it with song. As you work, your mind drifts. You imagine a feast in a house you've never seen. Long table, warm bread, fruit piled in bowls. You imagine being there, not as a guest, but as a servant, unseen, unnoticed, but welcome. You think about what it would feel like to refill someone's cup before they ask, to see a child fall asleep on their mother's lap, and know your hands helped bake the bread she fed him. These thoughts don't make you sad. They just sit beside you like a quiet friend. The sun presses on. The shadows shift. You wipe your forehead with the back of your hand, smearing a line of earth across your temple. You leave it there. You don't count time in hours. You count it in sounds, a dove cooing, then fluttering away, the crunch of dry leaves under your foot, the distant bleat of a goat, the creak of rope from the well, echoing faintly across the valley. You straighten your back and stretch, arms overhead, spine popping gently. You close your eyes just for a breath, and when you open them, the world has not changed, but it welcomes you all over again. You make your way back to the center of the vineyard, where the largest vine grows. It wraps itself around a crooked post, gnarled and wide. You crouch near it and examine the roots. They're deep, strong. The soil is dry, but the leaves are full. You place your hand on the base of the vine. It's like placing your hand on someone's shoulder. You wonder what it would say if it could speak. Maybe it would say, "I'm still here," or maybe nothing at all. Maybe it would just listen. You finish your work slowly, with no fanfare. You gather your things, the shawl with the grapes, the empty water cup, the cloth you use to wipe your hands. You don't rush. The sun hasn't dipped yet, but the heat has begun to soften. The air feels different, like it's preparing to let go. You start the walk home. The road bends gently, like it always does. You know each stone, each rise, each place where the wind whistles between the rocks. Your sandals are dusty now, and your shoulders bear the long shape of the day. As you pass the fig tree again, you see it a single ripe fruit, split slightly at the seam, ready. You reach up and pluck it gently. The skin is warm. You don't eat it yet. You just hold it in your hand like a kindness. Further down the road, a patch of shade beckons. You step into it for a moment and lean against a smooth rock. The breeze cools your face. You close your eyes, just briefly. You think about how tired your arms are, but also how strong they've become. You think about your name, not the one others call you, the one inside, the name you only hear when the world is quiet enough, the name that God whispered once maybe before you were even born, the one that means held. You walk on. A bell rings far off, not the kind for prayer, but the kind that means goats are being gathered. You recognize the sound, and it makes you smile. You wonder if the shepherd is the same one from last season, the one who always waved with both arms, like he was trying to catch the sky. As the path narrows, you pass a traveler, someone not from here. His clothes are finer, his hands cleaner, his sandals newer. He nods as you pass. You nod too. You wonder where he's going. You wonder if he knows what the well looks like at dawn. Probably not. The contrast tugs at you, but not with jealousy, only with curiosity. What must it be like to walk without dust in your cuffs, to eat before hunger stings? You think, maybe it's not better, just different. You walk on, and the road welcomes you like it always has. No judgment, just stones and sun and shadow. Your house appears around the bend, small and familiar, the roof still patched with straw, the door leaning slightly to the left. A thin line of smoke rises now. Someone lit the fire. Maybe your sister. Maybe the neighbor's boy. You cross the threshold, step inside. The air smells of cumin and warm oil. You place your things in their places. The fig you set on the windowsill. The shawl you fold neatly. The grapes you place in a clay bowl. Just beside the lamp, you sit for a moment on the woven mat near the hearth. Your knees sigh, your shoulders drop. The work is done. For now, outside, someone begins to hum a low, cracked voice, old and soft. It's Psalm 23. You know it. You always have. You don't join aloud, but your lips shape the words without voice. The Lord is my shepherd. You mouth it again. I shall not want, and you believe it. Not in the grand way of sermons, but in the small way of water drawn from a well, bread broken in silence, vines tended, fruit ripened, dust swept. You believe it like a child believes in sleep. The room grows quiet again as the humming fades, replaced by the hush of twilight leaning in through the small window. Light bends low, stretching thin across the floor like a sheet being pulled over the day. You sit with your back against the wall, knees pulled gently toward your chest, fingers tracing patterns in the edge of the mat. There is nothing to do just now, nothing urgent, nothing loud, only the soft in between, the space where fatigue settles like silt in the bottom of a jar. You feel it in your thighs, your wrists, your spine. Not pain, not quite, just the weight of being human at the end of a long day. You lean your head back and look at the ceiling, thatched reeds woven tight, patched here and there with fabric, straw, mud. You remember helping with that once, long ago. Your brother held the ladder, and your hands smelled of sap for 3 days after. You smile at the memory. Not big, just a small warmth behind your eyes. The air smells of oil now, and time maybe someone's making stew next door. You feel your belly answer with a quiet ache, a reminder that you are not just spirit, you are body, too, and the body wants feeding. You move slowly, rising from the mat, stretching your arms overhead until your spine uncurls. You lift the small pot from its place near the wall and bring it to the hearth. There are coals still warm from earlier. You stir them gently, watching the embers glow like tiny suns. You place the pot over the fire, not hurriedly, and add the lentils, the herbs, the last bit of oil from the jar. The scent rises like a blessing, savory and familiar. It smells like your mother's kitchen, like every evening that came before this one. and perhaps everyone that will come after. You stir slowly, then cover the pot and wait. You sit back down near the fire, palms facing it, letting the heat wake your fingers. You think of your cousin, the one who left last year for the city. She writes rarely, but once sent a letter describing her room-tiled floors, a table, a window with a view of the sea. You try to imagine it, but it's hard to picture a sea you've never seen. Still, you wonder, does she light a fire like this? Does she eat lentils? Does she sweep her floor with the same old broom? You hear a voice outside. Then laughter. Not yours. Not for you. But it drifts in like an old friend. You peek through the doorway and see the neighbor's child chasing a hen, shrieking with joy. The hen dodges, indignant, and the child stumbles into a heap of hay. The mother scolds lightly, then laughs too. You watch for a while, not intruding, just witnessing. The stew is ready when the smell deepens, a richer, earthier scent that fills the small space like incense. You ladle a portion into a bowl and sit cross-legged beside the hearth again. You eat slowly, spoon by spoon. The warmth spreads from your mouth to your belly to your fingertips. There's bread left from morning. You tear a small piece, soak it in the broth, chew with your eyes closed. The taste is quiet, nourishing, honest. You don't rush. There's nowhere to be, just here. When the bowl is empty, you set it aside. You wipe your hands on a cloth, fold it neatly. You rise again, your knees whispering in complaint, and step outside to let the wind find your face. The sky has turned the color of ashes and fire, not bright, just smoldering. The clouds stretch in long, bruised lines, as if the day is too tired to gather itself. You see the Roman scribe now, walking near the edge of the village. He wears robes that sweep the ground, sandals that haven't tasted mud. His hair is tied with a cord of scarlet, and a scroll is tucked beneath his arm. He walks with a purpose you don't recognize. You wonder what he writes about. You wonder if he knows the weight of a full water jar, or if he's ever touched a vine with his bare hand. You think he might know things, but you're not sure he understands this kind of silence. As he passes, you nod. He doesn't see, or pretends not to. You don't take it personally. He disappears around the bend, his steps sharp and fast. You look down at your own feet, brown and dusted. You flex your toes, feeling the grit between them. You smile. You hear a dog bark somewhere beyond the hill, then another. Then quiet again. A donkey brays in the distance. A door creaks open. A cough. A laugh. The village hums like a soft old song. You step back inside. The lamp is low now, the wick nearly out. You let it fade. The room grows dim, then darker still. You gather your shawl and wrap it around your shoulders. The fabric smells of sun, of work, of crushed grape. You sit once more, this time near the wall where the night feels closest. You lean your head back, eyes open to the dark. You listen. You hear your own breath. Inhale. Exhale. The sacred rhythm. You feel it move through your ribs, your throat, your chest. Alive. You think of your father's stories, the ones he told by firelight, not loud, not embellished, just told. You don't remember the words, just the sound of them, the way they wrapped around you like wool. You lie down. The mat is thin, but you've known it all your life. The straw beneath creaks a little as you shift. You pull the shawl tighter. Nestle your head into the curve of your arm. The world tilts gently toward sleep. The night does not fall. It settles slowly, like a shepherd sitting at the end of a journey. The stars appear one by one, not in triumph, but in patience. You see them through the open window, quiet little lights, scattered like forgotten prayers caught in heaven's hymn. They blink softly, as if unsure whether to stay. A breeze finds your cheek not cold, just curious. It smells of dust and fig leaves and the cool underside of stones. You breathe it in, long and low, and let it find the corners of your chest that still hold the shape of the day. Your eyes do not close yet. Instead, you watch shadows shift on the ceiling, slow as drifting sand. Somewhere outside, a woman murmurs to her child, voice low and tender, barely more than breath. The child replies with a sigh, not words. You feel it more than hear it, the nearness of rest, the hush of love that doesn't need to explain itself. Your thoughts begin to loosen. They are not sharp anymore. They drift, like leaves caught in a stream. You don't chase them. You let them go. You remember your uncle's story about the man who planted olive trees even though he knew he'd never taste their fruit. You didn't understand it when he told it. Now, you think maybe you do. Maybe peace is not getting what you plant for, but planting anyway. With open hands, with quiet hope, with your shoulder shifts. A sigh leaves your body before you even notice it was waiting. You let the weight of the shawl wrap you. Let the day fade like a footprint in soft dirt. There is nothing left to hold but breath. You think again about the well, Jacob's well, so old, so silent, water below, waiting, like it always does. You wonder how many hands have touched its edge, how many lives have begun and ended and been carried there. Your jar sits by the door, empty now, but not forgotten. You imagine the sun rising again tomorrow, not as promise, not as threat, but as rhythm, a return, the earth turning its face toward light, because that's what it was made to do. You shift again, curling slightly, and your knee touches the cool edge of the mat. You hear the breath of someone else nearby, not in the same room, but close, a neighbor, a sister, someone who also made it through the day. The quiet now is deep enough to hold your whole name. You think you hear God in it, not speaking, just breathing, and it is enough. You wake before the world does, not fully, not suddenly, just enough to feel your breath again, to notice the quiet hasn't gone anywhere. It has only deepened. You lie still for a while, eyes half closed, the shawl wrapped around your shoulders like a held promise. The mat beneath you holds your shape as if it knows your weight by heart. There's no sound yet, but the sound of wind moving gently over the roof. Not a gust, not a howl, just a slow, thoughtful pass, like a hand smoothing wrinkles from linen. The kind of wind that speaks only to the listening. You rise without rush, your joints slow, your body remembering how to be upright. The room is still dusk dark, the light outside just beginning to rise like warm breath over the hills. You blink once, twice, then push the shawl aside and press your feet to the cool ground. The floor greets you with a hush, not cold, just honest. You light the lamp again, one spark, then glow, and the room breathes with you. A single moth flutters briefly, then disappears back into the beam of early light, stretching across the threshold. You move through the room quietly, as if the silence has asked you to be gentle. You wash your face in cool water. You smooth your tunic. You rebraid your hair with fingers that move by memory. And then just before you leave, you take the jar again. It is empty, like yesterday. But that's not a flaw. That's the reason. You carry it outside, balancing it once more against your side, feeling the echo of every morning before this one. The path to the well is the same, but you are not. Not exactly. The dust welcomes you again, curling around your steps like steam from hot bread. The light is pale gold now, spilling slowly across the olive branches. A bird chirps once, tentative, then again, with confidence. You nod at the sound, as if to say, "Yes, I'm here too." When you reach the bend where the fig tree stands, you see a young man resting at its base. His head is bowed. His arms are wrapped around his knees. He is asleep, or praying, or maybe both. You don't speak. You pass like wind passes a stone. The well is empty when you arrive. Just stone and stillness, and the memory of water. You set the jar down and sit for a moment on the lip of the well. Your feet dangle just above the earth. You look into the dark water below. You don't see your reflection, only the light of morning finding its way to the bottom. When you draw the bucket up, the creak of rope sounds louder than before. It breaks the hush for just a breath, then fades. You pour into your jar slowly. The sound is beautiful, but ordinary, like rain falling into a pot, like soup ladled into a bowl. You lift the jar to your shoulder. You carry it home. This is the rhythm you were born into. Carry, pour, fill, repeat. But something inside you wonders, not loudly, not in rebellion, just wonders, what if the well is not only for water? What if the carrying is not only labor? You don't have the answer, but the question stays with you. When you return home, the jar is set by the door again. The water is used to cook, to clean, to bless. It disappears the way water always does, into steam, into bread, into someone's thirst. You don't mourn it. You know you'll go again, later, as the sun climbs and the tasks begin, the sweeping, the mending, the kneading. Your hands move without needing to be told, but your thoughts drift. You think of the road beyond the fig tree. You think of the young man sleeping there. You wonder what dreams he carried. You wonder if he woke. You think of the Roman scribe again, how he walked with no dust on his cuffs, how his eyes didn't see the things you see, how his scrolls may be filled with names you'll never know. And yet, you wonder if he ever looked at the stars without trying to explain them. You think of the rich merchant's wife, perfume on her wrists, bangles at her ankles. You saw her once passing through the square. Her servant dropped something, a basket, maybe, and she did not stop to help. You wonder what it must be like to never carry anything with your own hands. You wonder if her sleep is soft. You wonder if it's deep. You think about your own hands, cracked, calloused, browned by sun, lined with years, and you smile, just a little, because they are strong, because they are kind, because they know how to carry what matters. The sun reaches its high place with no ceremony. It simply arrives, as it always does, casting light through the slats in the window and laying golden shapes on the floor. You sit on your heels near the wall, repairing a tear in the hem of your tunic, fingers working the needle slowly, precisely. The thread is coarse. The fabric resists a little, but you know how to press it gently, how to ask it to hold. As you stitch, your mind wanders again, not far, just to the well, just to the jar, just to the way the water always rises for those who come in humility. You think about how many hands have cupped water there, how many lips have sipped from its promise. You wonder if Jacob himself ever imagined that the well would last this long. The silence in the room hums with the breath of heat. You pause, wipe your forehead, then continue. A breeze lifts the edge of the door curtain and flutters it lazily. Somewhere outside, someone coughs, then sneezes. Life continues, gently, imperfectly. You finish your mending and set the tunic aside. The next task waits in a basket, figs to sort, some bruised, some split. You sit cross-legged, placing the good ones in a clay bowl, setting the others aside for the goats. The juice stains your fingers, and you lick it without thinking. It tastes of sweetness that has been patient. You hear laughter outside, not close, but clear. A group of boys, maybe racing sticks down the slope toward the stream. You remember doing that once, your stick always crooked, always the slowest. But you didn't care. You only cared that someone waited at the bottom to cheer you in. Even when you came last, you sort the figs until your bowl is full. You carry it to the shelf by the hearth and place it with care. Not because they're special, but because they're yours. The room is hot now. You step outside and sit in the shade, back against the wall, arms resting loosely on your knees. The sun pulses against the stones. Cicadas click from the trees like tiny gears spinning in the sky. You let your eyes drift half closed. Someone passes by the path above your home, a girl, maybe 15, balancing a jar the way you did at that age. Her stride is confident, her brow furrowed against the sun. You wonder what she's thinking. You wonder if she hums the psalm her mother used to sing. You remember yours, not her face, but her hands, always moving, always sure. Her voice was soft, like wool against skin. When she prayed, it sounded like conversation, not ritual. You miss that. Not the words, just the presence. The fig tree rustles, and a dove flutters from its branches, startled by something unseen. You watch its wings, how they rise and fall like breath. You follow it with your eyes until it disappears behind the roofline. Then you return to your tasks. The water needs refilling. Not now, but soon. You feel it in the slosh of the jar, not quite light, not quite empty. You plan your steps without deciding to. You move through your day the way a stone moves in a stream, not fighting, not forcing, just shaped by the flow. As the sun leans toward its descent, the shadows return. They grow longer on the walls, creeping like old cats toward their corners. You hear a clay cup tip over somewhere. You don't rush to pick it up. It isn't broken. Not everything that falls needs fixing right away. You rub your hands together, brushing off flour or dust or time. You sit near the door again, just to breathe. Someone nearby hums not a song you know, but the sound of it pleases you. It reminds you that you're not alone. Even in your silence, you hear a child ask a question, high-pitched and sincere. Why do stars blink? The answer is lost in the wind. You smile. That's the kind of question that never really needs an answer. The day is closing now. You feel it in your back, in your knees, in the space behind your eyes. The ache is familiar, not cruel, just real. The kind of ache that says, you live today. The kind that wraps itself around your bones like a friend who holds on too long. But you don't mind. The bowl clatters gently against the wall as someone sets it down too fast, and laughter follows, not loud, not mocking, just the kind of laughter that says, "I see you, and we are tired together, and this is enough for joy." You look up and see your neighbor's boy grinning sheepishly, eyes wide with mock apology, as his older sister swats his shoulder with the hem of her apron. No one is angry. The stew is not wasted. The bowl is not broken. You smile without needing to join. Just watching is enough. The kind of warmth shared by witnesses. The day cools slowly. The sky turns from gold to rose to a soft gray-violet. You watch it change. You don't try to name each color. You just let them pass through your eyes and into your chest. The way a river might pass under a bridge without rushing, someone lights a lantern near the well. The flame flickers through the still air, casting soft halos against the stone. A donkey brays once, then settles, far off. The hum of crickets begins not in unison, but in layers, like a tapestry being woven out of noise and hush and time. You find yourself leaning back against the doorway, palms resting in your lap. The jar is empty again, and you touch its rim gently, like a goodbye or a promise. You'll carry it tomorrow. You always do. You think about how strange it is that something empty can still be heavy, but it's not the kind of heaviness that breaks you. It's the kind that gives your life shape. A breeze stirs your tunic, lifting the hem slightly, then dropping it back against your legs. The air smells of smoke now, someone's fire catching just beyond the square. Maybe it's pine, or fig branches, or olive wood. You try to guess, but don't mind not knowing. The fig you left on the sill earlier has begun to wrinkle, its skin pulling in on itself. You don't move to eat it. It's become part of the room now, a small reminder of sweetness and time. You lie down slowly. This time, not because of sleep, but because your body is ready. You stretch out on the mat, your arms folded under your head. The shawl is still warm from your shoulders, and you draw it over your knees, tucking it into place like your mother used to do before she left for the fields. The stars appear again, a few at first, then more. You see them through the windows opening no glass, just air and night. They flicker as they always do. And you remember the child's question from earlier. Why do they blink? You think, maybe it's because they're alive? Maybe it's because they're watching? Maybe it's because even stars get tired. You listen for Psalm 23 again, but it doesn't come tonight. No one is singing, just the wind and the steady breath of your own lungs, rising and falling like the sea you've never seen. You close your eyes. You feel the day wash over you, not all at once, but in pieces. The rope creaking at the well, the fig's soft flesh in your palm, the cloth torn and stitched, the taste of lentils, the vine's quiet growth, the footpath beneath your sandals, the weight of water, the hum of silence, the empty jar. All of it rests beside you now, none of it demanding, all of it offered. You turn your face toward the wall, your cheek against the mat. You exhale once, not long, not forced, just final. The dark does not press, it cradles. The dark deepens like dye poured into a basin, spreading until every corner of the room holds its color. But it is not an empty dark. It breathes, it watches, it welcomes. You lie still beneath its gaze, the mat beneath you shaped by your years, your nights, your weight. The shawl rises and falls with your breath, One hand rests lightly against your belly, the other curled under your cheek. You are not restless. You are not waiting. You are simply here. A sound stirs outside, not sharp, not sudden. A soft rhythm of footsteps over dirt. Perhaps a traveler returning late. Perhaps a shepherd checking a gate. You do not open your eyes. You do not need to know. The world carries its business onward, and you are free to drift. The scent of the night air reaches you again, this time laced with something cooler, wild mint, or the echo of rain that never fell. You breathe in and feel your ribs expand gently, then fall again into the hush. You remember, briefly, the story of the prophet who heard God not in wind, or earthquake, or fire, but in a whisper. You don't know where you learned it, only that it stayed, that it clings to you now, like soft wool against the skin. You think maybe the whisper is not a voice at all. Maybe it is a presence. Maybe it is the warmth of the mat beneath your shoulder. Maybe it is the taste of bread shared without ceremony. Maybe it is the silence that lives between your breaths and still belongs to someone else. You do not pray out loud, but your thoughts drift like prayer anyway. You think of your mother again, her hum, her bent back, the way she touched your forehead when you were sick. You think of your brother, how he once made a flute from a reed and played it until it cracked. You remember the sound, thin, shrill, then gone. You smile at the memory, not because it was happy, but because it was real, and you are thankful for what is real. You shift slightly, and the mat creaks. A mouse scurries in the thatch above you, then disappears. You don't startle. It's lived here longer than you. The stillness thickens. The stars press closer. The village sleeps. You hear someone murmuring nearby, not words, just the sound of breath shaped by dreams. You wonder what they dream. You wonder what you will. Your body sinks deeper into rest, as if the earth is pulling you close, not to bury you, but to hold you, to say, you belong here, too. The road to the well will wait, the water will wait, the morning will come, but not yet. Now there is only the dark, and the breath, and the hush. You think, faintly, of God again, not as judge, not as king, not even as shepherd, but as someone sitting beside you in silence, not needing to speak, just staying, just breathing with you, and you sleep. The world does not end in silence. It begins there, and so, before morning stirs her first breath, you lie curled in sleep while the stars keep watch. One has fallen, somewhere far off, without sound. You do not see it, but a part of you senses its motion, a streak across the black, quick and vanishing, like the thoughts that come and go while your eyes remain closed. The room is still. Your body breathes without needing permission. Each rise and fall is slower now, deeper, drawn from a place beyond effort. Your chest is soft, your shoulders loose, your fingers rest open, curved like a child's. Outside, the world is not waiting, it is watching. The hills keep their secrets. The trees keep their shape. The well holds its water, quiet and unbothered. The village, too, remains hushed, not from fear, not from sleep, but from reverence, as though it, too, knows this hour is sacred, that between night and dawn there is a breath God leaves behind just for the ones who are listening without trying. You stir once, not fully, not with urgency, just enough to feel the mat beneath your back, just enough to know your body is still your own. In the quiet, you remember the dream you're having even as it slips away. You are carrying the water again, not on the road, not from the well, but through a field of light. The jar is full, but not heavy. And in this dream, your feet are bare, and the dust is cool, and the sky is not above you but around you, and you are not afraid. You whisper something in your sleep, just one word. No one hears it but the dark. Maybe it is thank you, or maybe it is stay. The breath of dawn begins to rise over the far hill. You do not wake yet. You remain where you are, wrapped in stillness, woven into straw and time and holy quiet. You do not dream of greatness. You do not rise to command. You do not chase fire or cloud or miracle. You only breathe, and in that breath, God is nearer than language, nearer than memory, nearer than your own name. You feel a warmth along your spine, faint and growing the first touch of morning. It does not pull you. It waits. It honors your rest. It will be there when you're ready. For now, there is only hush, only this, the breath of your body, the weight of sleep, the jar by the door, the dust still warm from yesterday's steps, and the presence of a love that asks for nothing but to be near. You turn slightly on the mat. Your face presses to the fold in the fabric. Your lips part just enough to sigh. Not a word. Not a wish. Just a sigh. And with that, the night completes its final note, and the story, like the jar, empties gently at your feet, not lost, not gone, but poured out into the quiet. Good night.